This is a review of a Garmin Edge 510. I'll not be going over every feature on the device, but I'll cover it from my perspective and talk about the features that work best for me. Also, this is the first Garmin I've owned, so I will not be comparing it to any of the other Garmin devices. I will say, however, that one of the main differences between this Edge 510 and the older 500 is that this is a touchscreen. I'm primarily a mountain biker and also ride a fair amount of cyclocross. A lot of my cyclocross riding consists of dirt roads, which would be similar to road riding. So if you're a roadie, this review should be helpful to you as well. Until I discovered Strava, the only electronics I used for mountain biking was a heart rate monitor. And honestly, Strava is what motivated me to buy the Garmin. I had several rides that were lost when I went to upload them to Strava. And of course, I knew I had a king of the mountain, so that was kind of frustrating. So with Strava whetting my appetite for analyzing ride data and comparing my times to other riders, I wanted a device that was more reliable and probably a bit more accurate. Another benefit is the fact that I'm not using my cell phone battery while tracking a ride. I found with my phone, which does not have a really good battery life, I could only get at the most about 4 hours when running an app like Strava. And of course, it's not wise to run down your cell phone battery in case you need it for an emergency, especially if you ride alone, which I end up doing a lot. This device needs to be charged about every 12 to 14 hours, and so I usually end up charging it about once a week. When I originally purchased the Edge 510, I did not buy it with the heart rate monitor strap. You can buy it in bundles that will include the heart rate monitor strap and wheel sensor. I bought it just as the device. However, after about 2 weeks, I realized the benefit of having all the data on one screen and also being able to see heart rate data online when analyzing my rides. So I purchased the strap straight from Garmin separately, and this is the strap, and this is their newest one. It comes with this module separately, kind of like the newer Polar heart rate monitors, which is nice because you can unsnap it from the strap when you're done with the ride, and it saves on battery in case the strap has any water on it. It's not using the battery of the module. I will say that when I first started using the heart rate monitor strap, I had a problem with the strap disconnecting from the Garmin, and I would actually have to power down the Garmin during a ride and power it back up to reconnect. Garmin releases software updates from time to time, and the latest software update that I downloaded to the device actually took care of that problem. That was over a month ago, and I have not had that problem since, so that's been corrected. Garmin also makes, like I mentioned before, a wheel sensor and a cadence sensor. I didn't get those either. I actually like the simplicity of being able to just move the Garmin from one bike to the other without having to worry about the wheel sensors. I have 3 bikes, and it's really nice just to be able to unclip it from one and mount it to the other one. However, if you like to see your exact speed, like knowing what pace to keep in a pace line on the road, you'll probably want the wheel sensor. I've noticed that when holding a constant speed and only using GPS, that the speed reading on the unit will fluctuate probably about plus or minus 0.5 miles per hour. And for mountain biking, that's not a big deal. The Edge 510 comes with 2 of these mounts, which you use 2 of these rubber O-rings, and you can mount it on the handlebar like I have on my mountain bike, or you can mount it on the stem like I have on my cyclocross bike. And to put the Garmin in the mount, all you do is you put it sideways, rotate it until you feel it lock into place, and it's very secure. In fact, I have an all-mountain bike, and I've done some really rough, chunky descents with the Edge, and I had no issues at all with it coming loose. Garmin also sells additional mounts in packs of 2, so if you have more than 2 bikes, you can buy additional mounts and just keep them on your bikes, and that way all you have to do is just remove the Garmin and move it to another bike, and that's very, very handy. As far as weatherproof, this thing is pretty much waterproof. I've had the device on the bike in a really heavy downpour, even on the back of the car at probably 50 to 60 miles per hour in a heavy rain. I have not had any issues with water getting into the device. You just have to make sure that this rubber plug, which is for the USB device, is securely. So after you've charged it or connected it to a computer, you got to just make sure that rubber plug is securely back into the device, and that'll keep it pretty much waterproof. I did purchase this extra cover for the device, and this is manufactured by Garmin, so it fits perfectly. And I would recommend it just as a safety precaution. I got it in case of a crash, but you definitely don't need this for waterproofing the device. I also had some extra screen protectors, which you may be able to see in here. These are from an older iPod Nano, and I just added them to protect the screen. There is a screen protector made for the Edge 510, which I'll probably pick up one day, since these two Nano screen protectors kind of have a line here. Don't look that great, but they'll work for now. Now, the $330 price tag on the Edge 510 may create a bit of a sticker shock, but if you have several bikes and you use a heart rate monitor, then having just one device that can easily be switched between bikes makes the price tag a bit easier to handle, since you're only purchasing one computer. So let me turn on the device and show you some of the features on it. To turn it on, you just hold this power button down for about a second, and it usually takes about 10 to 15 seconds to boot up, and it'll usually find a GPS signal within about 10 to 20 seconds. I will note that the first time I used the device, it took about 5 minutes to locate the satellites, but now it only takes just a few seconds, and you see it already got a GPS signal. Again, I'm not going to go into all the features, but rather highlight the ones that I use, which will probably be some of the main features that most cyclists will use. So if you get a message on the screen, you just tap it and it'll go away. So this is the home screen that comes up before you start the device for a ride. And you'll see that you have temperature on the top left. You have this icon for a satellite and also an icon for Bluetooth. If they're blinking, that means that you don't have a connection. So I don't have a Bluetooth connection to my phone, and I'll go over that in a few minutes, but I do have a satellite connection. It also has a percentage of battery and has the time on the top, and it has what Garmin calls activity modes. And this is on train, and you can tap the arrow to go to a different one. There's also race. Those are the two that come default on the device. And you've got what bike setting you have. Again, I'll go over that in a minute. And then you've got an icon down here for settings, and that's how you would go into your settings, and a folder where you can go into different selections like courses and workouts. So you can go into different activity profiles, and the purpose of this is to display different information depending on the type of activity you're doing. And you can see right now it's on race, and the one that I mainly use, I leave it on train. And to go into your activity profile settings, you would tap that settings icon and go into activity profiles. So let me show you some of the different settings in here that I use. So I'll show you some of the things that you can change in these activity profiles, and I'll go into race. And one of the main features that I use is the training pages. And there are multiple screens that you can show on the device, and you can change what is displayed on each screen. So I'll go into this one, and you can increase or decrease the information sections that are on that one screen. So right now we have 4. If I wanted to show less, I would just click the minus sign, or more, click the plus sign. And you also have to enable that screen. Sometimes the screens will not be enabled, so you have to enable them by touching the little toggle switch at the top, and then you click the check mark when you're ready to go on. And at the top of this one, it's got vertical speed, so how fast you're climbing. So let's go into the distance setting here. I'll click there, and then you can scroll down and select what you want to display. So you've got cadence, calories, courses, distance, elevation, heart rate, navigation. So I'll select speed, and then once you do that, there's usually a subsetting, and you've got speed, average speed, lap speed, max. So I'll go into average speed. So what I've done is I've changed this section to show speed now. And then I just click the check mark. So let me just show you some of the screens that I use. You can see this one has heart rate at the top, then speed, distance, and time. And I mentioned at the beginning of this video that this is a touch screen. So to go to the other screens, you would just slide to the right or left. Here's one that has, I put a lot of information on one screen, and this has got heart rate at the top, then speed, distance, average speed, elevation, temperature, time. And I'll say that if you're used to using a smartphone, which a lot of people are, this doesn't quite have the fluid nature of a smartphone when you swipe. Sometimes it won't actually catch, especially if you have a glove on, but it's pretty effective. And also this is an LCD display, so it doesn't have just the really crisp, bright graphics that you may be used to on a smartphone, but by having the LCD, you do get a long battery life. And you'll notice if I don't touch the screen for a minute, it kind of dims out. That's to save battery. So it has a backlight, and you would just touch it to bring up the backlight. And also, the sounds on this computer are kind of, to me, reminiscent of early 1980s handheld video games, but they are effective and they are loud. Another feature that I use in the activity profiles is auto pause, and that allows the device to stop recording when you come to a stop or go below a certain speed. So to change it, you would just go into auto pause, and you can select a custom speed. Right now in the race mode, it's off, and so I could select the custom speed and enter in a speed. I usually use about 1 mile per hour, because what I noticed on a mountain bike is if you go around switchbacks, if it's set too high, sometimes the device will stop recording for a second or two. When I got my heart rate monitor strap a few weeks after I bought the Garmin, I couldn't figure out why heart rate wasn't showing up on the device until I realized I had to go into the training pages and activate the heart rate monitor display here. So make note of that in case you get one of these and also use a heart rate monitor strap. You can also add different bike profiles. The default setting just has one bike profile, but you can come in here and add more, and you would just click on there, and to add one you would click on the plus sign down here. And you can enter various things about the bike, such as weight and wheel size. And where this would really come in handy is if you do use the wheel sensor and you have one on different bikes that have different wheel sizes, you could go to the home screen and just change what bike you're using, and it would adjust the Garmin according to the wheel size for that bike. For basic riding, when you want to start a ride, you just press this play pause button on the bottom right. And while on a ride, if you're not using auto pause and you want to pause it manually, you just press it again. And then when you're finished with your ride, you press the button and you can discard it or save it. And if you save it, it stores it in the device, and then later you can upload it to Garmin Connect by using your phone or connecting it directly to a computer. I'll talk about one of the coolest features about this device, and that is uploading your data to Garmin Connect and also downloading things from Garmin Connect. And Garmin Connect is Garmin's online database where you store and analyze your data. And if you're new, you would just take a minute to set up an account. And let me demo it real quick since I'm talking about it. So this is the Garmin Connect website, and this is free. Again, you just have to set up an account. And when you first log in, you come to a dashboard, and then you mouse over the Analyze tab and go to Activities if you want to look at a ride you've done. So let me do that, and I'll just open up one of my rides and show the data that's on here. So you have a summary section here, just gives basic things like distance and time and average speed, your elevation gain, average temperature, a little bit more details right below it. Elevation below that, so elevation gain on this ride was almost 2,400 feet, and gives your min elevation and max elevation. It's got temperature, average, min, max. Also has a lap section. I didn't really show it on the device, but there's a lap button, which is the button on the bottom left, and you can press that when you finish a lap or whenever you just want to record information for a different segment. I use it when I do mountain bike time trial laps, and then you can go into view splits, and it will give you a lot more detail about that lap, the distance of that lap or that section, the elevation changes, and it will also show your average heart rate if you had a heart rate monitor strap on when you did that segment or did that lap. Over on the right, you've got the map of the course that you did, and you can zoom in and out. You can also go to kind of a terrain look, or you can go to satellite if you wanted to view this more as a satellite view. Below that, you've got your charts, your time speed chart, and you can show this by time or distance on the x-axis, and same with the elevation chart that's below it. I can change the x-axis to time from distance if I wanted to, and it's got a temperature graph of what the temperature was like during your ride. Over on the Plan tab is where you would plan out your courses and plan out your workouts. So here's a workout that I did. This is an interval workout, and I'm not going to go into a how-to here because this is just a review, but you can change your intervals based on time or by pressing the lap button. You can also set zones. So this one is set based on a heart rate. You can also change it based on a power if you had a power meter, or you could do it by speed. And I'll mouse over the Plan tab and go to Courses. And again, this is where you would go to actually set out a course. It's similar to Map My Ride if you've ever used that. You just click on streets, and yeah, it will plan out a course, and of course you can see the distance that you've planned out. So that's just a real quick overview of Garmin Connect. Let me show you real quick how I will get information to Strava. And what I'll do is I would go into my ride on Garmin Connect. I would click on the ride, and then I would go to export and just export this as, I use a TCX file, and that will just save it to your computer. And then I would real quick go over to Strava, go to upload activity, and you can see over here you've got some choices from Garmin or from file. I go to from file, and I just browse out to the file and find it, and then it's in Strava. You can also hook up your Garmin directly to the computer and click on from Garmin and import it right into the computer. I like doing it through Garmin Connect first, so I have the data there and also have it into Strava. If you have a smartphone, you can download the Garmin Connect app for your phone. And it's not necessary, but it does make it really, really handy to upload information to Garmin after a ride and also download. So let me show you the app real quick, and I'll just go through a few things here. So these are my rides that I've done recently, and if I wanted to look at information of a ride, I could just click on that ride, and it's got kind of a summary of the ride. You can also click on the map and go into the map and look at, this is an Android phone, so it's going to show it on a Google map. and you can just look at the route that you did. So let me go back, and I'll go back to the home screen here. So that's the activity page. You've also got courses. So if you had a course saved on Garmin Connect, so this connects right to Garmin's cloud, and these are all the courses I would have created. And if I didn't already have it on the device, I could just click on the course, and then I could send it to the device if it's paired. Obviously you have to have Bluetooth on your phone and have the device paired. So I could just tap send to device, and that would send the course out to my device. The same thing with workouts. So I can go to workouts, and these are the 4 workouts that I have saved. And if I wanted to look at it in more detail, I could do that. And if I wanted to send it out to my device, if I hadn't already done so, I could just click there and it would send it to the device. So that's just a real brief summary of the Garmin Connect app that you can download to an Android device or an iPhone, and they both look very similar on each device. So when you're done with your ride, as soon as you click save, if you already have the Garmin Connect app open on your phone and it's paired, as soon as you click save, it will upload it to Garmin Connect through your phone. If you don't have the app open, whenever you do open it, the device, any ride that's stored in your device that hasn't been uploaded to Garmin Connect, as soon as you open that app, it's going to connect to your phone and send any ride that hasn't been uploaded already up to Garmin Connect. When you want to follow a course that you've mapped out on Garmin Connect on your computer, you would just come into the folder, go to courses, and scroll down until you find the course that you want to do, and then select it. When you're following a course, the device will show a line that you just follow the line. And you don't get turn-by-turn directions. In other words, you don't have the device telling you to go left or right. You're simply following the line. You don't see any map features like streets or water features, but it does work. This arrow will always point in the direction you're headed, and the graphic will rotate when you make turns. And this brings me to one of my main gripes so far about the Garmin 510 that I've found. And that is that after you make a turn, the graphics will a lot of times freeze, and it can take about 20 to 30 seconds for it to unfreeze and rotate so that the arrow is pointing again in the direction you're headed. It's not bad when you don't have another turn coming up quickly, but if you were in maybe like a city making lots of turns, I could see this being sort of a problem. And I might actually contact Garmin to see if there's a solution for this. So you'll get a black line that you follow, and there'll also be a blue line. Now you can use this screen even when you're not following a course, and it'll just have a blue line showing where you've been. And that's sometimes helpful in case you kind of maybe get lost and you need to find where you've been or where you started. So on this screen, I can zoom in or out, and it shows down here the scale. So I'm at 500 feet, so I can scroll out and it'll go to 800 feet and so on. You can also click on this compass signal, and it actually becomes a compass, and it also has your GPS coordinates, which would really be helpful if you had an emergency and you had to give someone your exact coordinates. You can also click on this hand symbol and actually rotate the map and move it around. And then when you're done, you want to go back to automatic, you would just click that symbol. So that will wrap up my review of the Garmin Edge 510. In summary, this is a really powerful device that gives you a lot of data on one screen. You can really customize it to the information you need to see. Further customization comes from adding things like a heart rate monitor strap, wheel sensors, and a power meter. The ability to store and analyze data on Garmin Connect can really help you with your training and ride planning. Creating and following courses can help you focus on riding and not checking a map every few minutes. And creating things like interval sets and other workouts is a huge benefit to structured training and take some of the thinking out of your workouts when your brain is deprived of oxygen. The price tag, it's obviously a lot more than a basic bike computer, but it's obviously a lot more powerful. The few minor annoyances with the route screen aren't really too hard to get over and are easily outweighed by all the other benefits. So whatever type of riding that you do, ride safe, and thanks for watching.